I'm not going to ask the stupid question, why do you compose music?
No.
But I'd like to ask you, for whom do you compose music?
God. No, for myself. It depends on the... But I think that music has to be... doesn't need to be easy to be played. Because the people that like music are dedicated to it. They will finally arrive to play it. Don't forget what Beethoven said, poor man.
Of course. But some pieces of yours are just physically impossible.
No, don't say so.
Do you think you can play all the notes of Xenakis?
All the notes?
All the notes?
Wait, Xenakis was...
Piano and orchestra.
Yes, that's an old thing.
Of course, it's that piece written on 10 different staves, one per finger.
Of course.
You think you can take all the notes?
That is Herma.
And Herma. You think everything of Herma can be played?
Oh yes, Yuji Takahashi played it very well from the beginning.
And Xenakis too? You think everything can be played?
Xenakis is...
piano and orchestra.
Yeah, of course, everything can be played.
Because at the time, I remember when it first came out, they said that you had to choose the pitches you wanted to play because you couldn't take them all. You had to make a selection.
Yes, for the fingers. That is sometimes right, but not always. You see, people like Claude Delfer, he worked hard on some of the pieces which were very difficult, and usually he does that. He plays them. Depends on the musicians. If you ask an orchestra that is used to traditional music in the 19th century to play such things, they say, we can't play, it's too difficult, we can't understand that, and so on and so forth. That happens very often.
No, it's not a matter of understanding, it's a matter of being physically able to realize everything.
Which is the same. If something is understandable, then they try, but they don't want to try. They don't care. There are orchestras which are doing very worthy things without asking themselves, especially some German orchestras. But the difficulty of a piece doesn't mean that it's unplayable. You see, the evolution of the performance of music changes with the generations. Something that was impossible or very difficult to be played after a generation is not very easy, but much easier to be played, and so on and so forth. It's a matter of head and of controlling the hands. But I think that if the music is interesting, then it is played by somebody. And after a while, if it's very interesting, then it's played by other people, generations. But you cannot be sure of that. Recently, I was in Moscow, and it was a orchestra, I've forgotten the name, and they played the full program of my piece, orchestral piece, that were very well played without any problem. And even when I went to salute the people, they were smiling nicely at me, which is not usual.
I know you've had some very satisfying performances by Romanian orchestras also.
Yes, very good in Cluj. Very good orchestra.
So it's also a matter of goodwill.
Oh, absolutely. And of...
Because I'm sure if they wanted here in France, they could.
Of course they could, but they don't care. No, I try to forget the old ones, because then I write old music.
Of course.
It doesn't mean that what I try to write as new music is really new. But I try to do that.
Of course.
The point. They don't play vibrato.
No, of course not.
Good, because I ask them very...
You never liked vibrato?
No.
Not for the voices either?
No, the vibrato came with, when was that, 7th century?
Yes.
17th century,
yes.
Yes. And they want to do, to make the voice nice, but the music is lost that way, because you hear the vibrato, which is systematic everywhere, and that's a bad aesthetic thing.
Yes, I think it.
You agree, yeah?
It applies to not only to instruments, also to singers.
Oh yes, especially singers, because they know.
Now, in earlier years, you have used, not very often, but you've used micro-intervals, quarter tones,
Yes.
things like that. You seem to have given it up. Is it for practical reasons?
Well, more or less, the musicians are very troubled by the small intervals, and then it's very difficult to notate in a precise way that you want. If you write, for instance, if you adopt a quarter of a tone, which is easier than a 16th of a tone or an eighth of a tone, even a quarter of a tone is difficult to be played because it's intermediate and it's not satisfactory. This is why, and besides that, it's a matter of simplicity, and the interest of a piece should not rely on rhythmical patterns, which are more or less interesting and important, but the whole thing, the whole landscape, which has to be simplified in order to become more powerful and direct. If you transform them, there are many ways of transforming them, and I'm not interested so much in transforming a sound that was produced by an instrument than creating a new sound, which should be different. I don't know if I am successful, but this is the main point in using the let's say computer sounds.